everybody. This is Kathy Tucker, and I'm so happy to welcome you to our home in Cordova. Cordova is a community of Memphis, Tennessee, and we're just happy to share a little bit of our life with you. So come on inside with me and let's go find Dave.
You know, it was just a couple weeks ago I went out to the mailbox and came back in with a thick manila envelope, and I saw it was from your church. The first thing I thought was, how did they find out so quickly? Because I had just gotten out of the hospital. I had a bad reaction to a prescription drug given to me by my primary care physician. I was in the hospital bleeding for 3 days. Out quickly after that, I got scanned from the top of my head literally down to my ankles. And I'm in fairly good shape. It's taken me a while to get all my strength back. I was able to go running again this morning, so I'm back doing everything, but it did take me a couple moments to realize those were not get well cards that I was holding in my hand. Those were the birthday cards that you send me every year, the same birthday cards that are right here, for which I thank you. It shows how much you care about us, you know who we are, you pray for us, you continue supporting us financially. We really appreciate having you have our backs. Thank you for that. Let me tell you a little bit more about things as we go along, and we go into the other room to meet Kathy again.
I know that some of you are hoping to get an update on our family. Part of the reason we moved to the Memphis area is because Gwen and Eric and their family are near here. They're about a 10-15 minute drive from us. We go to the same church. Eric manages a FedEx station near us, and Gwen works in our church. They have 4 kids. Who are all living in Tennessee, either going to school or working or both. And in fact, one of our grandkids, Zach, is on the other side of the camera today. And then Kristen and Adam and their children are in California. Sadly, they lost one of their children about a year ago from a totally unexpected, inexplicable brain hemorrhage. But they are in Northern California with their 2 children. And after a number of years of living in San Diego, they decided to live out their dream, and they moved up in the mountains near Yosemite National Park and have a small organic farm. We just enjoyed an Easter visit with them this past week. We had a beautiful day in Yosemite, picture perfect. This picture is from a visit to Yosemite about a year and a half ago when it was a lot colder. But we just enjoy our family. We don't see this part of the family as often, but we enjoy the times we get together. Dave and I are grateful for the good measure of health the Lord's giving us at this stage of our life, and we try to be active in serving Him in as many ways as we can. Some of the things we are intentional about are reaching out to our neighbors. We try to be there for them in good times and harder times too, where we can pray and share food or do what we can. I'm involved in some of the same kinds of ministries that probably many of you are. Attending a women's Bible study and singing in the church choir. That's, I think, the highlight of my week is our Wednesday rehearsal time when I get my spiritual recharging. I look forward to June when I'll be helping with our church's Vacation Bible School again. We call it Camp Outrageous. And a new to me activity when we came to Tennessee was Arise to Read. And I'm Coach Kathy at Arise to Read. A number of years ago, our pastor's wife decided to take very seriously the verses about seeking the welfare of the city that you're in. And after she learned from research that, surprisingly, 89% of kids in poverty can graduate from high school, but only if they are reading proficiently by the end of grade 3, and that's a big if. Otherwise, you have high school dropouts and the continuing cycle of poverty. So what Arise to Read does is target children in 2nd grade The schools identify kids who are in need of help in the area of reading. And this past year, we went into 42 schools in Memphis and the surrounding areas. Each child gets 1 hour of individualized attention, helping them to sight read and to read context, stories in context, and answer questions. And it's amazing the difference from the beginning of the year with their pre-testing and the post-testing at the end of the year. And not just those kinds of tangible results, but we see kids growing in self-confidence and so much else as they get this personal attention. And as I said, I'm Coach Kathy there, and I've worked in a couple of the different schools in our area. Yeah, what other things we do? I think the highlight of my past year was a mission trip to the Netherlands. About 1.5 years ago, our church started looking for people who could go on a team to the Netherlands to minister to a group of missionaries who are going to be meeting there. They wanted people who could provide medical help, educational resources for children, lead training seminars. They had a worship team. They even had hairstylists go. And there's a huge need for children's care. So the super blessing of this is that our daughter Gwen and I went together, and it was so much fun having Gwen as my roomie and travel companion, and I also worked under her leadership teaching 5 and 6 year olds. Along with a couple other adults, we had them in our care for about 9.5 hours a day. And so yeah, the days were long and tiring, but it was so worthwhile and so very appreciated. There were 750 missionaries and missionary children there from countries in Africa. And we had to keep this under the radar because many of them came from countries that are officially closed to the gospel. So for their safety's sake, we weren't allowed to post anything about this on social media.
And what's that in your hand?
Oops, yes. This is a souvenir that we were given from the Sub-Saharan Africa team. And just a reminder of this wonderful time together. They were meeting together for the first time in 6 years face to face, and it was just a fantastic experience for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you've been following us over the years, one of the frustrating parts of my ministry was that I traveled so much. Now, I enjoyed travel. I enjoyed what I was doing there, but it meant that I could never really get involved in a continuing ministry within the local churches that we were part of. So we definitely made plans that as we approached retirement, we would get as involved as we could in local ministries. We wanted to touch the lives of people and get to know who they were, how we could actually help them. God had been using us for those 40-some years. How could we transfer that working knowledge to other people's lives? One of the first things we signed up for when we did retire officially was working with World Relief. World Relief is the only Christian organization authorized by the U.S. government to take in and help legal refugees and help them adjust to our country and work their way to citizenship. And very early on, we were assigned to a single Cuban mother who was here from Cuba, obviously, spoke very little English. She had a baby shortly after we began working with her. And through the pandemic, mostly, we had a chance to work with her. Part of the time was with a team, but they dissolved around us for various reasons. And finally, we were able to see her go off to Texas, marry the father of her child, and settle down there. She is a believer. Her parents are believers. We look on that as a wonderful working experience, one that we could not have done if we were still wandering all around the place. Other things we've been able to do is work in Bible studies. Kathy's being able to be in the choir week by week, attending the women's Bible study, things like that. For me, I love teaching. You might realize that already. But I could never teach a Bible study, a Sunday school class, till we got here. And one of the first things I did was go to one of the pastors and say, I want to teach. And finally, he paid attention to my pleas, and I was given a class. I've been teaching this one for about 5 years now. We have a group of 12 couples over 60, and then ourselves as the very senior members there. So they're somewhere between our age and our kids' ages. But we meet on Sunday mornings and we have a great time together, studying God's Word together, talking to each other, knowing what God is doing in our lives. I also have the great opportunity to teach an online group on Wednesday evenings. This started during the pandemic when no one wanted to leave their homes, but it's continued. Even when people are going back to church, back to live groups, they still want to attend our Wednesday evening thing, which is interesting. You'd think that we have very little interaction when it's all done through a computer, and yet we have a fantastically loving and close group. I've grown very, very close to them. Most of them are from this area, but we have others spread out throughout the United States. We even have a pastor from Uganda who attends regularly, even if it means getting up in the middle of the night for him. So things are definitely happening there. We're just very pleased that God has given us a place where we could settle down, where we could do these continuing type ministries for ourselves and for the sake of others. And thinking of continuing ministries, right around here, one time last summer there was a woman who was walking the street here just because she was nervous because there was a tornado warning here. And Kathy was able to draw her over to our driveway where we put our arms around her. We prayed for her. We sent her home a lot calmer than when we first found her. Another woman here, Kathy invited to attend a women's Bible study with her. It took a semester of persuading, but finally this past semester she did attend, and she attended the entire time. Finally went last week for the final thing when Kathy wasn't even here, so she went on her own. And she's made new friends there. She has her own little group there. What a fantastic thing. But the same woman has a son, college-age son, and Kathy suggested this son might be very happy going to the college group at church. So Kathy contacted the college pastor at church, found out what the arrangements were, when they were going to be meeting. The son agreed, he didn't really want to, but he agreed that he would go. But the father said, "You're not going without me." And the next day, the college pastor got in touch with Kathy, and he said, yes, they were there, and the dad gave his life to Christ that night. So you see what happens there. God is taking the contacts we're making and using us to touch the lives of others in ways that we just couldn't have imagined. It's a fantastic thing to be serving the Lord, and we know that you're behind us. You have our back. You're praying for us. All of this that's happening now through our lives, even in retirement, are happening because people like you are with us, praying for us, knowing who we are, caring for us. We do appreciate that. Thank you very much for being part of our team.